Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Echo. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, too bad because this game's already out. Sorry. I pressed the button in my mind and that's the worst that came out. But if you want to support them with other ones, you can go to their Patreon and give them $3 a month, which gets you earlier updates on other games. So, on Let's Play, we restart the game and pick Carl, who is doing alright. Apparently, for reasons. Like, he's sober right now and was able to do a pull-up. And also has a muscle gut, which points Chase seeing it was like, Daddy's gonna eat well today. He's so gay. But, yeah, right, we're at his house because we're gonna look at his grandfather's, stuff, which somehow survived all the things that happened previously in Echo. Not James Hendricks that we know from the smoke room, but, like, I think... Yeah, his grandfather, because it was like grandfather, and then great-great, and then great? Yeah, no, I'd have to look that up. Space, and start. Carl's house is like a labyrinth. I think he once told me that it has over 30 rooms, which is fucking insane. The living room is about 5 times larger than the one in my parents' house, and it's hard to miss that. What looks like a 100-inch flat-screen TV against the wall. Would closets count as a room? Guess so. According to Carl, the first mansion was even bigger though, and I mean a walk-in closet. After getting a drink, he leads me straight downstairs into the basement. Down the hallway, we pass a small home theater, what looks like an entertainment room with a bar, and a small gym. The quick glance I get shows at least 10 fitness contraptions. After that, things get a little more dingy, and I can see how portions of the fountain could be decades old. Foundation. Finally, at the end of the hall, Carl opens the door, and I can see from the ceiling that it's right under the stairs we came down on. Carl waves his paw around, and finally grabs something before pulling it down. An old light bulb comes on, and I see there's a little door with a small hatch on it. He opens it, and I'm greeted with the musty smell, ooh, as Carl slides through the opening. I follow attentively, making sure I'm not walking into any cobwebs. Are there a lot of spiders down here? I don't think so. We sprayed a few weeks ago. It's extremely dark, and I hear Carl grunting next to me. There's a floodlight here somewhere. Here it is. Like everything in this house is big for a crawl space. This kind of looks like that one room from the smoke room. I kind of want to look back on it, so let me just poke that, and I'll just need to remember where the heck that spot is. Pillars sprout from the ground in 2 rows that stretch back almost into the darkness. The ground is covered with a tarp, and I see dozens of plastic bins lining the walls. This is a lot of shit. Yep, it's a few generations worth of shit. I walked over to the tarp to look into one of the bins, but all I can see is clumps of cloth and towel through the cloudy, plastic. Carl walks past me straight towards the back of the crawl space, his big hooves clobbing along loudly. I actually helped them sort through all this stuff last year, so I think I know where it is. I follow him, but it's hard to see in the darkness. Should we get a flashlight? Nah, it's only 2 tubs, I think. We'll just pull them to the front. I stand off to the side as I watch him push bins around, looking at the labels on top. I look over one of them to see home movies written on it, and it's filled with cassettes. I'm Now, do home movies in general mean pornography? Because I know that when I worked on a ship in my previous job, there was like a server on it which you could watch movies, and there was one folder called Home Movies, which had so much porn. But I brought my own porn, so I never used it. I like furry stuff. Don't remind me. I look up to see that Carl's noticed me staring at the bin. What? Carl grunts as he lifts the bin and drops it pretty carelessly to the floor. I'm pretty sure I hear something break. Mom had me help her convert it all to digital. Took all fucking year. Okay, so maybe not pornography. Wow. Yeah, it's in the cloud now. You're actually in a lot of those videos. Huh, really? Yeah, birthday parties and shit. Of course I would be. Carl's dad practically had a video camera glued to his eye back in the day. I used to hang out with Carl almost as much as I did. I used to hang out with Carl almost as much as I did Leo since once we started once we started going out. I was like, that sentence doesn't make sense because you're reading ah. I even went on the family vacation a few times. But then got me but then me going out with Leo changed things. Coming back, I think Carl was kind of unhappy with that. We can watch a few once we're done, if you want. Sure. It sounds like an old person thing to do, but I'm curious. Found it. Carl slides out 2 plastic bins. I see history written on the top. Help me carry one. Carl lifts it up the top of one and starts waddling back to the front. I bend over and lift the second, and I'm surprised at how fucking heavy it is. I'm worried I'm not even gonna get it off the ground for a few seconds, but I manage after a while. If Carl's bin is as heavy as mine, then he's a fucking beast being able to lift it and carry it out like that. I stagger after him, almost certain that I'm gonna go headfirst into a wall. Once you make it to the rear back near the stairs, I bend over and set down the bin, and that's when I see a massive spider sitting on the lid. It takes about half a second for me to realize the black shape and spindly legs. Oh fuck! I scream and then drop the bin before I know it, and I'm halfway back to where it came. I'm halfway back from where we came, panting and shivering. Holy shit, what happened? I tremble and try to save my voice. A fucking spider. What? You really still scared of those? Man, for a second I thought my sister came home and then got murdered. Yes, a sister? You told me there wasn't any. I didn't say that. I said we sprayed. Just get rid of it. At this point, I've shuffled a little closer back to the light, and I can see Carl grinning as he bends over to look at the lid in the bin. Whoa, it's got babies on its back. My blood gives a violent my body gives a violent involuntary spasm, and I shake my paws like a fucking girl. Stop it! He glances up at me with that stupid smile on his face. Wow, that was gay. But seriously, it's got a bunch of tiny babies on its back. I think it was a wolf spider. Also, speaking of gay, apparently, yeah, when I looked it up, and I'm not sure how much spoilers it is, Flynn did do some stuff with both Carl and Leo. Damn, man. So that's like 3 people Leo's fucked. And they think Chase is a hoe. I swear, I'm gonna pass the hell out if he doesn't stop talking. I cover my face. Please. Alright. I didn't know you were that scared of him. You should probably get that checked out. Considering that I almost crashed my car into the garage of my parents' house when a spider crawled the AC, he was probably right. Just kill it. Why would I do that? I watch as he tilts the bin sideways. It's not gonna hurt anyone. I want to tell him that those babies are only going to grow into hundreds more giant wolf spiders. But I recognize I'll just come off as bloodthirsty asshole, so I bite my lip as I watch the black spot skitter off into the darkness. Personally, I just put it outside. Also, what does a wolf spider look like? Wolf spider, not furry. Ugh, that thing looks uncomfortable. And yeah, here's a picture of them with babies on its back. Eh. Nope. It's not a small black thing, it's a... where was I? Here. Walking back towards Carl, hugging my shoulders as I try to control the chills running through me. Now I'm gonna be paranoid for the whole time that it's gonna come back out to get me. Carl rubs my back when I stand next to him. You know, they actually clean up a lot of other bugs that get into the house. Yeah, well, I'd rather be covered in ants than spiders. It's clear he's trying not to laugh at me as he starts popping the lid off his bin. On top are a few framed pictures, and under those are a few more cardboard boxes. I release the latches on the other bin, keep my eye out for black spots that might jump out at me. This one's filled with bundles wrapped in cloth or paper. Carl drags his bin to the steps so that he can sit on them, and I follow suit. So, how do you think you'll use this stuff? I unwrap the smaller bundle and look at the gold pocket watch underneath. Wow, well, not totally sure. Depends on what we find. Might film a few things. There's a paper tag attached to the chain with Robert Hendricks written on it. Who's this? Carl gives me a glance. No idea. Probably a great uncle or something. I wrap the pocket watch and reach back into the bin to pull out the next item. There's something real cool about this old stuff. My mind wanders to who might have made it, who bought it, and how much shit it must have seen. History was my first choice to major in, but Dad put a stop to that real quick. I pull out various other things, dolls, a pipe, coins, and another pocket watch. I feel like this stuff is worth a lot of money. Why don't you sell it? Probably, but it's family stuff, and I still think they want to do the museum. He gives an awkward cough. Besides, Brady got plenty of money. He's got the binder open, looking at the black and white photos behind the plastic. Hey, this is him, right? He points a picture of a very dignified-looking ram, thumbs in his vest, wearing one of those big top hats. A fox stands next to him in a similar pose. I guess that could be Murdoch's family? I see a picture of a yellowed paper set behind the photo and tug it out. James Hendricks. Yep, definitely him. And John Begay? Huh. Don't know who John Begay is. And I'm not sure if that's our James Hendricks, because I think our James Hendricks is James Hendricks the second or third. That's Jenna's last name. Beck. John Begay. Don't know John Begay. Also, why'd the music stop? Come on. Okay, I was liking that music. Carl's phone starts buzzing, and he grunts as he leans back to pull it out of his pocket. Hey, Mom, helping Chase with this project. No, of course not. I look over at him, and he gets up and clomps back up to the steps. Looking back down at the picture, I wonder if it's just coincidence, but I don't think so. Jenna's family has been an echo since the beginning, too, so it's this guy definitely has to be a relative of some kind. I take a picture of the photograph with my phone. I'll show it to Jenna later and ask if she knows anything about it. To do what without Carl? To do that without a car? Carl raises his voice so I can look back up the steps, wondering if I should close the door. Hearing him angry like that doesn't feel right. His parents were always hard on him, but I guess they had their reasons. I spend the next 20 minutes shuffling through bins, trying to be careful not to break anything. I decide I have enough to put the lids back on the bins, line the stuff I picked up out along one of the steps since I don't have anywhere else to put them. By the time I head back up to the actual basement, Carl's gone. Into the actual basement. Huh. And I guess James Hendrix's place had a basement and then like a crawl space kind of thing. As I approach Carl's room, I smell it before I even open the door. He's reclined on the bed, one arm thrown over his face. The big window above him is open. Clothes are scattered all over the floor, along with a few empty water bottles and bowls. God, I know that my room's messy, but I never just like leave empty bowls or like water bottles or shit in the house. Unless I'm like drunk and I've left a Gatorade bottle that night and then in the morning I clean it up, or like a cup of tea on my regular things, because like, I don't know, it saves me having to find a plate the next morning. Family. For reference, one of our family members really, or two of them, really like to just leave, like take plates and then put in their room, and then it's like, okay, there's none for the rest of us. Or they put them in the washing machine but don't turn it on, so it's like, okay, there's just dirty shit and no plates at all. Every inch of the walls is covered with posters, like you remember, along with a few on the ceiling. Bookcases line the opposite wall, filled to the brim with comics and toys. Raises arm as I walk in. It smiles. Sorry about the mess, dude. It's hard to keep everything clean when my parents aren't here to yell at me about it. The lazy, crackly sound of his voice has returned full force. His eyes are distant. It's okay. Are you okay? He grins toothily. Dude, I'm more than okay. Since there's nowhere else to sit, I end up sitting down on the foot of his bed. Do they let you smoke in here? The smell in his room is layered and old, like the walls have been blanketed in the smell several times before. Yep, they give up on trying to stop me. Better to be in the house rather than getting caught by the cop outside. They just made me promise that I wouldn't ever try something harder. Heh, good thing they don't know I've already tried dick. Ha, got him. He puts a lot of emphasis on the K, as a bad joke. As the bad joke seems to get just dribble out of his muzzle. I lean back on the bed, and that's when I notice his flat screen, just 48-inch, is on. The list of video files displayed on it. What you watching? Oh. Carl grunts as he sits up and reaches for the game controller. Our old home movies. I was going to show you some of them. How about a birthday? Sure. He scrolls down the list, then stops when Carl's 8th is highlighted and presses play. The backyard I was in on an hour earlier pops up on the screen. Now, along the table sits the middle of the lawn, along with massive bounce house. And not just any bounce house, but a giant 2-story one you'd find at the state fair. Kind of want to look at what that looks like. 2-story bounce house. Oh, it might not be like 2 stories, but it might just be like really tall. But it does look like there are some of them where they do have like 2 stories. Or maybe a big slide, I don't know. Boop. The video is timestamped April 19th, 2002. Boy, how old was I back then? Math. I was a teenager, early. Fuck, I remember this. There are about 20 kids, mostly in the bounce house, and most of whom I've forgotten. Right now, though, the camera's zooming in on an 8-year-old Carl. He's messing with a giant Nerf gun, the kind that no kid ever gets because they're so damn expensive. And that's when 8-year-old me enters the picture, holding a much smaller Nerf gun. His parents gave everyone a goodie bag that day, and toys in it that I might not have been able to get on my own birthday. My kid self pulls the gun, puts the gun in Carl's head, and pulls the trigger, a dart bouncing off one of his horns. I specifically remember that moment. I thought the suction at the end of the dart was going to stick, but of course it didn't. The audio was filled with a deep chuckle, Carl's dad behind the camera. You were a dick back then. What? I was 8. Still, you blew up my candles. Oh yeah. He got mad about that. I start to settle back and smile. It's been a long time since I watched a home movie, and I've forgotten how nice it is to have this method of looking back. Kind of like when I get stuck on scrolling through all the old images on my phone. My younger self is trying to help Carl with the gun, lifting the barrel and looking into the opening. Careful! The kid Chase pulls his head back with a jolt as Carl's dad yells, then mutters behind the camera. Let's see how long it takes for him to trick Carl into trading with him. Carl's dad sounds exasperated, but good-natured. It still makes me blush a bit, now knowing how aware Jim was of my taking advantage of his son. Our struggles with the Nerf gun gets the attention of another kid, though. Our breath catches my throats as Sydney bounces into frame. I can feel Carl tensing up next to me, too, and he starts to lean for the game controller. And here comes the Mormon boy. The disgust in Carl's dad's voice shocks me, and I hear Carl whisper a curse next to me as he fumbles for the controller. Sydney reaches out and pulls the gun away from Carl as he looks it over, grinning. Hey! Suddenly, the screen switches back to the file menu, and we both sit there in silence for a few seconds. And, you know, it's been a hot minute since the last thing. For those of you that might not know, Sydney's the kid that drowned in the lake, and I'm not sure if it's true for every route, but it's at least true for one route where the main character murders Sydney because Sydney was kind of trying to murder TJ. Sorry, I guess I forgot about that. Of course, Sydney was going to be at the party, but I'd honestly forgotten too. If there was any way to perfectly ruin the mood, that had been it. I glance over at Carl and see him looking down at the gamepad, ears lowered, the insides red. Hey, it's okay. I didn't mean... Maybe it's a good thing to watch. My dad, I didn't know he'd say that. I'd rather not find out what else he said. Oh, yeah. He was always super racist. I look around, trying to find something, anything, to distract us from what just happened. My eyes fall on the shelves, holding Carl's game library. Want to play a game? Are there any... Sorry, all of a sudden I was like, games. Like, are there any H games that are multiplayer? Like, I think there's like flexible survival multiplayer that I've never touched. That'd be a good question to ask on my Discords. Not my Discord server, but like other Discord servers. It's just like old times as we co-op through the Winter Castle. The fact that he still has the old save files from when he was in college makes it all the more nostalgic. I get so into it that it gets dark outside without me even knowing, and pretty soon I'm looking out at the purple sky reluctantly. About time I go back. Carl sighs and pauses the game before stretching and dropping the controller onto his bed. Oh, come on. Sure you can't stick around? How no, I don't have any clothes or toothbrush. We can walk over and get them. Carl seems pretty determined to make me stay, and there's not a reason I can't, so I relent. Alright, yeah, it could be fun. Yes! Carl looks so happy and almost relieved. Actually, God, it seems like such a nice thing. Like sleeping over at somebody's place playing video games. Like, not being drunk or anything like that, but just being like, yeah, we're gonna play video games and then go to bed. It'll be just like old times. He rolls his hooves. And speaking of old times, let's make a pizza. I've suddenly caught Carl's enthusiasm. We go into the massive kitchen and pull out a big, frozen pizza from the fridge, and while it bakes, we sit on the counter and talk. At this point, the hazel pot has lifted from Carl's face, and he's animated and excited again, swiveling on one of the counter stools. For the first time, it's almost 10 years, I'm giddy and excited in a way you only get when you're at a sleepover. That makes it a little jarring when he pulls out some beers, but I'm happy to have a few and gulls them down as talk about past sleepovers. Pretty soon, our reminiscing drifts into the present, and that's when the conversation slows a bit, Carl having less to say. I try to change the subject, and tell him that he should come back to school. He just smiles and shakes his head. I was going to keep on going, but then it's like, well, we are past the 30-minute mark. Not 30-minute mark, but like the 25-minute mark, or 26 now, which usually would denote a thing. Granted, this is not Sileo, where it'd be like, this scene can last so fucking long. But that being said, it's like, I don't know how long these scenes can be, so that having been a different switch in time, I think that's a good time to call it, you know? So, end of this Let's Play. So comment, cause I like comments, tell me what you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like to see it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the videos to help it grow. And believe it animals help control the pit population. And if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and are getting the news version earlier, you can go to Patreon. Sorry, my mouth was running, but my mind wasn't really going. Yeah, this game is finished and free. So let's see, that's that one scene there. But then let's switch over to the other game since we have a little bit of time. Let's switch over to the smoke room, and the harder part will be finding the right spot where it is. I mean, it might not be exact, because, like, stuff. But, okay, so let's see. That's Murdoch. This is Nick. Need to find the spot where he asks us to come to his place. Ah, here it is. And here's that spot. Okay. It kind of looks the same-ish. Oh yeah, I remember something because it's oop, wrong way. Because it's this thing here with all these pictures inside. Dog. Somebody. Gazelle. And what looks like to be a raccoon or something? A lot of Yao in all these pictures. Or Nick. I guess this might be the thing where it's like, hey, they're keeping an eye on Nick and Yao, but then it's like, I don't know. What's the thing? What was that one thing? Yeah, I think this is like a side thing. Helpful. Felipe. Fuck. I'm just gonna do this while I skip a. Yeah, I guess we've done all that before. I don't remember looking at it, but okay. It just skips ahead. Anyways, until next time on another Let's Play, me, GamerWolfSix, of the Smoke Room. I mean, Echo. Did I say Sleo? Sorry, press a button, my brain goes, and my mouth goes, bap, 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 and I don't even recognize the words. Anyways, thanks and see you.